time as DZ settled at 8-6. Flores is going to be our very first ban to start things off. DZ on offense, Soniqs on defense. Let's get this ball rolling.
All right, getting into it now. We do have Nook as our second ban coming out here. Flores is the first one, so pretty much a repeat of what we got back in map number 1 there. I would imagine our defensive bans are going to be pretty much the same exact thing here. So we will continue to see that be deployed out. Indeed, it's going to be the case. Zombie, once again, just too individually useful, too individually potent, especially on this map. You got areas like security and whatnot where she can go absolutely crazy if she's set up appropriately for it. And then Valkyrie as well. That does mean we're going to leave the Solus, and Valkyrie, I can imagine, being a little bit more useful for this map specifically, even with the IQ counter picks starting to come in quite a bit this tournament. So that means, however, Solus will be allowed out, and could be a potential problem for the drone game of both teams, as I imagine she's going to be used quite a bit, and we can immediately get confirmation on that. Gunnar just going for the quick lock on her.
What a terrible combination of characters. Pulse and Solus, that's just so mean.
Yeah. They can see you, and they can see your gadgets.
It feels so gross, John. Why is that allowed? Ugh. It's like, this needs to be like a banned card. You know, just put it on the restricted list. Oh my goodness. We'll see how Soniqs can, you know, make this comp work. I think that this is going to be a really solid addition to the way that you can play Border. Border's a really small map, and with small maps, especially multi-level small maps like we have with Border and stuff like that, where there's a lot of soft destruction in between the levels. Pulse already a really good op, Solus already a good app. You match those two together, you got a lot of info game. The other squad, not so much. So, could definitely mean that DarkZero are walking in blind for this. Potentially see what they can get done. I'm excited to see what the drone game is going to look like. That's the big thing here. Looks like they've already potentially lost one, but no, that thing, little initial numbers that show inside of the prep phase are usually wrong. So looks like we've only lost 1 instead of 2 drones there. Now we've lost a couple. So now down to, or rather effectively now using more. Apologies about that. So we do still just have 1 drone down. So 9 drones in play for DZ on this offense.
See just that upstairs pressure beginning to broil in from DarkZero. They want to take South main control and move themselves past that point. Giveni at the threshold over here by South right window balcony. Not with the confidence to actually jump in and move it forward as of yet, but over here on the outside window, waiting it out. Citizen trying to see if he can scout it, but just out of range for a few of these players. So he'll be all clear for the time being, but as he calls it in the same fashion, that's not the big question. Is, you know, he had pressure here just a few moments ago. Trying to look out for it more directly as DZ once again takes the slow approach to this one. Drone starting to move itself a little bit closer to Citizen's portion of the map as well to suss him out, but not confident enough for Giveni to go for the outright swing just yet. A whole lot of nothing here inside of the first minute of play as DZ wind up for something a bit bigger in the next minute or so.
Speaking of big, it's Big Ben on the prowl. Works his way across. Luckily, nobody outside. Intelligently shoots the right-hand side of that panel there, making it to where he can actually hop in. Didn't want to go for the second punch. Apply those lead bullets, make it a little bit easier for himself. Move his way back downstairs. DarkZero hasn't really pushed themselves into the building all that much just yet. Trying to work it from the outside angles, use some of these window plays as well as these bounces off of the skylight. Trying dislodge his position inside of the suicide area. Pambazoo now works his way in towards 90, takes down 1, not a single soul aware, although there is so much utility at the Soniqs' disposal to find this out. Be able to trade that though, as the metal stairs player will come through. It'll be Gunnar.
Down to that final minute now. DarkZero, unfortunately, not that much closer to the actual execute as of yet, but starting to burn out some of the supporting walls for these positions. That could push it over the edge. As Gio sits on the inside of office and patiently waits this one out. Skies and a lot of fire coming in against our player, trying to hold over here. On the inside of Custom, Skies will eventually battle him out, but has too much time been wasted in the process of killing this one player on an off-site position. Doesn't look like it here. Now the trade starting to roll through a bit more convincingly, but Grixer still with a bunker established on the inside of lockers. Takes down Giveni, locks us into another 2v2. DarkZero are split up. No confidence really to go for this one, but still gonna try and pinch things out on the inside, and it may work too. Archive's offense gets found out. Canadian now trying to work things against Grixer, but Grixer gets it all done on his lonesome instead. The Soniqs claim round number 1.
Fantastic patience from the Soniqs, not overplaying their hand. Grixer once again so very clutch. It seems to be the constant thorn in the side of DarkZero. Grixer, big kills for him inside of this to start it off here. Set a tone, set a pace for Border. As they'll pick up the very first round. DarkZero back to the drawing board here after a pretty successful clear that was thwarted by the site play.
Round 2 will take us down over here into Tellers for Soniqs' next site choice. Not feeling the usual pick of ventilation, finding a bit more effectiveness potentially out of this position, and I believe the stats potentially align with that as well, so a good choice looking towards that one if it is going to align with their thoughts on how this map has been playing out so far at this tournament too. DarkZero, once again, going to be bringing a fairly straightforward flare to their attacking lineup. Just a few change-ups. They'll add a secondary hard breach. This one, they don't need the double soft breach, it would appear, but it's all still shifting a bit, so we'll hold our breath for a moment as it ends up coming back. The blitz, oh, Gaveni was thinking about it there for a second, but ends up back on normal territory once the actual lock-in period has succeeded, as he will just go for the Thatcher instead.
Well, it's the tried and true, right? Makes sense. Always lean on those kind of things when situations start to get hot. Just kind of lukewarm right now for DarkZero, losing that first round. Really just want to get the ball rolling. Want to make sure that they're starting to find some success here before it starts to become an issue. Failure to deliver, failure to launch here. I mean, Soniqs pulling us all the way to Clubhouse. Map the DarkZero and Canadian, a lot of history on, but the same for the Soniqs. One of the best when it comes to North America on that map, and it would surely be a firefight. One that I really am looking forward to if we do get that far. DarkZero once again going to be starting things on the outside balconies, looking to get this drone game going. Discover themselves a gunner when it comes to the half-wall position. We're inside of Armory. DarkZero, once again, not going to push themselves too far. Grixer with some fantastic discovery of his own when it comes to the Solus play.
DarkZero now ready to move themselves forward to at least start taking some lockers control for themselves. They will be attempting to dump the utility to push out any office presence pretty quickly, and indeed, they'll succeed in doing so. Soniqs will not really be too keen on directly contesting against this. They'll be sitting back, waiting in those office positions where they do have the hard wall to be braced to get in the way of that one. Gunner with a nice little sneak here. Gets in, I believe, from Beepers. Was able to find Pan, but take him down before descending once again. Keep in mind, like I said before, Grixer, at least one other member of this team, I believe, still in the area, but slowly getting pinched out. They do finally give up those upstairs positions. Oh, I correct myself. There is still one more player in this area. It's like as well, so one more sticking around, trying to waste some time out, trying to waste out potential execute options for DarkZero, as it'll be Rexon sitting here in this very pivotal position now.
Breaching around out for NJR. Got the wall open. Trying to influence the positions around office. They have one Soniqs member to worry about. He's prone under the radio window, and this could catch NJR off guard. Not a very common position. Rexon, he's looking for it. He's ready. No one goes well with a frost mat, a human frost mats! Rexon! How? Why? DarkZero, please! Amazing from Rexon! What a moment! All on radio window. A comms check needed for DarkZero there as they are dealt with. Rexon, what was that? You have never seen a play like that in your life. DarkZero completely caught off guard by him just prone, waiting for their arrival in office.
The missed drone absolutely seals the deal for Rexon here to give us a lights-out play to single-handedly shut things down here for the defense and give them another winning round to still lead 2-0 over DZ's scoreline right now. It's going to move right along as far as the defense is concerned. Then over to Vents for our third and more likely final site this team will play into, doubling down on the trap play for this one as well, with Rexon, of course, with the frost mats. And now the Capcan EDDs are going to roll out from Citizen 2.
I have never been more flabbergasted than Habana losing that gunfight. I really thought Rexon was dead there. dead to rights, really.
You think he would have been like found out completely, and that was the cause of so much delay too, that they were just trying to figure out a way to force him into the open and get an easy kill onto him, but no, they just completely weren't aware of him in the first place.
We make this whole conversation, this entire point, you know, during this game about DarkZero, their info game, how they're so solid on it. Make kind of a misstep in Cafe, right? And then the second round here, DarkZero completely off the reservation. Smaller map too, but they still don't check radio.
No, they do not. It's a fatal mistake that pretty much single-handedly costs them the round. Soniqs, of course, more than happy about that. They have a real good chance to potentially go for the straight 3-0 lead at the beginning of this matchup now. Certainly would help to bring them back into it too, as they are up against the wall as far as this series is concerned. Such a promising group stage from the Soniqs. Would be a bit unfortunate to see their upper bracket run ending on quite literally day number 1 of said bracket to the hands of DarkZero too. So we'll see if they can rebound here, continue on the warpath, and lean us towards that third map on Clubhouse. Potentially save themselves. DarkZero wants it just as much though. They're going to quickly wipe off the very unfortunate outcome of that previous round and focus up for another one here.
All right, DarkZero, get in the hole. We need a round here on this offensive side. Can't be a full site rotation here from the Soniqs. Cannot be allowed. Set it off by Gavini here. No damage back and forth between these two. DarkZero getting some positioning around the eastern front. Lots of Soniqs members reside on this top floor, though. Grixer playing solos over inside of Customs. Most of Soniqs trying to battle out of this box here. DarkZero wrapping themselves around that top floor balcony. Still have Gavini clearing a lot of these angles up, clearing up a lot of these door frames as well. Aware that the cap can's in play, so the rest of the squad will obviously know too. These windows and walls open. Start making some new lines of sight for DarkZero. They do obviously have to attack into the basement, so really just trying to abuse this top floor for the soft destruction. Soniqs have backed themselves off. Gunner's gonna be the first one to fall down. Will Rexon follow it up? He will. Gonna try and back off of this. Almost an ill-advised angle. Pamazoo was waiting in the wings.
Pan with the slow push forwards here. Trying to see if you can win out the duel versus Gunnar. A little bit bored of a dash from Citizen forward too. He tries to chuck the Nitro out. Won't be able to line up a successful pick so early on, but for Gaveni and the rest of DZ, they are being slowed down because of these top-down fights that they're being baited into. Constant fight being deployed by the Soniqs towards that hatch, and it's all to their happiness as well. Geo getting the Nitro out, finally catches one member of DZ moving up above, will take them down with the Nitro. Oh, the Goomba stomp in the meanwhile from Panda though. Drops on top of Geo's head, but can't go any further because the Soniqs are playing such an active defense right now. Just throwing themselves at the pushes from DZ. They've kept themselves one step ahead yet again.
Rexon rocking a hard place, but he's making it work. Battling back, runs into the position, and JR gets taken down. Skies have to get something done here. So little time has the case, but it doesn't matter. The Soniqs constantly forcing DarkZero onto their back foot. It's going to be a tack timeout now for DZ to try and figure this out.
Yep. We're telling you, these new attacks, our pacing is actually really good in the beginning. Remember, we're buying ourselves time. These guys are not room. Okay, they don't want to fight us. So we get the top. After we get the top, we just need to focus on the end game. We're missing like end game spots, like ready window. We're just not turning a vent. If we have to do that take again, vent's the first thing cleared. That's why we're front door. You can't leave. Vent's first thing cleared. Then top down. Fucking. We're shopping like safe.
I went
yeah,
down.
we're fine.
Put the first C4.
Yep, all good. It's probably going to be armory again, so yeah, we're just locking. Last time it's just a 1v1.
Yep.
So not too much worry from the captain there. Coach Mint, the rest of the gang, Canadian. See what DarkZero can get done here. Some endgame positions lacking is what Mint talks about. A couple of the tidbits early on. Soniqs not really wanting to fight is what he says. I'd say it's mostly just positional advantage that Soniqs is looking for, as they're letting DarkZero have a decent portion of the map like we saw in that previous round, and some of those positions from DZ are being adopted. You know, one of the in-game positions that he's talking about for vents happens to be upstairs next to half wall through the soft destruction there, but they had a huge issue with Rexon when he's in practically a kill box. You know, if you have proper soft destruction on that top floor, then Rexon more than likely a dead man just laying prone inside of vents, but obviously not the case. He fights out of it. Not only that, he kills the window player. So I think that it's more that DarkZero might need to search a little bit harder in some of these positions to try and suss out the Soniqs. See if Soniqs try and get more aggressive here. Once again, you heard DarkZero talking about some of the advantages they could take, you know, in that earlier into the round. So we'll see how they attempt to work round 4.
Slow rolls yet again for DZ, as they are not going to be able to build themselves up towards anything fantastical inside of these first few seconds. We are back upstairs after all, so it is going to take work regardless of how they'd want to play this. And drone work it will be to start things out here. Do have that soft panel opening going into jail, so there's an option to take some lower map control for them, but I believe they have their eyes on a much bigger prize over here towards security and a few other key parts of the map. We are going to see a few rotation setups from the Soniqs, much more heavily deployed for them, though, to the inside of office, it looks like. They will have the mirror window set up there going to the back of radio, and a few other players supporting things from the fountain side, too.
Solid drones here for DarkZero so far. Nobody willing, able to try and attack just yet. Rexon looking for more an aggressive swing from the basis of the office. Nothing really doing right now for Soniqs, though. Still awaiting DarkZero. Oh, although talked about a little bit of aggression that they could use, haven't pushed it just yet. Well within the right to do so at a moment's notice. A nade out over towards CCTV, doesn't find much. Gio's been able to play safely inside of Suicide for some time. He's got a mirror window here as well. Finally, Gunner will pick up one. DarkZero stunted, it seems, again. Nitro so ready for Gunner. He's going to line this up. This might fly out right on the radio window. NJR is going to break down the castle barricade, which I think he's waiting for. Looks like he might be waiting on the hop instead. Gio there with a big kill, and Rexon to take one down. Some nice trades going back and forth now.
Rexon with the shots rang out. Gives his team back the initiation advantage. DarkZero can no longer throw a player away just for the sake of getting map control. Instead, they'll need to get it out right, but unfortunately won't be able to find it from Panda's POV. He just goes 1 for 1. Fountain is dealt with, but you still have Archives Office, as well as the full breadth of the Lockers play. Potentially try and detach here. You can see Skies as well as tried to open things up with the X-Kairos. It's been a messy job at best there, trying to open those angles into Fountain to support his teammates' push. One that is now a moot point for the reasons I stated previously. Citizen inching at the opportunity to go for a swing, but given where they're at in the round, smart to hold things back here. Dude, how low this is going to be brought down now. Gunner seals the deal on Canadian, brings it all onto Skies now for the 1v3. He's going to try to make a clutch attempt out. Has that intel on Citizen, but beyond that, it's a guessing game at best for him to try and clutch this one down. And with the time now, giving us the warning there, you heard the announcer talk about it. It is going to take us very quickly to the end of the round. Soniqs still in control, 4-0.
Prim and proper from the Soniqs has been one of the fastest borders we've seen this entire tournament so far.
Well, in terms of score count, yeah.
Yes. If you're talking about pacing wise, obviously not, John. It's DarkZero. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That is fair. They're like one of those eco diesels.
Wait till we get to the next half.
You know, they just go for a really, really long time. That's just how it works.
I have one of those.
You do, actually.
You know, it doesn't really start getting fast until you get in the third gear. I think once we get to the second half here, I think it's when we speed things up a little bit, if that's how this metaphor works.
Yeah, I needed to slop some NOS on DarkZero's car here or something. I don't really
Put some fuel additive in, that might speed it up a little bit.
Get the DEF in.
Yeah.
Make sure you got that diesel exhaust fluid. Well, we'll see what's going on here for DarkZero. They don't have attack timeout anymore, so they're kind of floating up the creek without a paddle. A little worrisome here for them. They're going to adopt the Thatcher and kind of going bare bones. Very basic R6 operator lineup coming in here. Going to go for the double hard breach, Yana and Buck. Actually going to switch out the Thatcher for the Ash instead. A bit of a soft breach play here as they did drop that sledge, so definitely think that's a solid adaptation. I haven't been seeing a lot of people use the R4C this tournament either. We saw a little sprinkle of it at Jönköping, but everybody leaning back into the G36C. Most notably probably because of the extended barrel also getting worked in with its recent changes. So
things will slow down yet again here as DarkZero try to wind themselves up for another swing into the depths of border. Unsuccessful 4 times in a row. Soniqs so far ace with this map pick. Have been able to set themselves up for victory more times than not, obviously. And on top of that, have come out even inside of the clutch quite a few times too. For DarkZero, this is just, to some extent, a bit of a claustrophobic map for them to work their far-reaching strategies on, and that's creating some very serious problems for them in the first half. Some that may be insurmountable, given where the scoreline could realistically end up at halftime now. And assuming, of course, the Soniqs will also be able to continue the same level of play on the attacking side.
Aggressive play here from Gaveni. He's got the angle for suicide. Shots in, but the computer eats up most of them. A bullet sponge. Rexon takes down Gav. Some nice shots from him. Rexon low on HP now on Pamba with the chance to deliver. Nitro Cell, or rather frag grenade out. We'll be able to take him down. Trades back and forth ensue, but DarkZero still fighting from the downward position. Or rather, actually, it's tied up. Thought Soniqs was up a man, but no, definitely not the case. Gunner's gonna shift across. Skies knows this has to come. Swing through, and unfortunate for Gunner. He's right on top of that desk. Pambazoo with a nice kill here as well. Finally, DarkZero getting some semblance of control over a round.
Indeed, as finally they're able to battle back against some of those early gunplay. Not able to allow the Soniqs members to escape deeper into their site setup. Finally, we may have a real winner being set up overall here for our DarkZero attacking side. Gio left alone now inside of the 1v3. Certainly workable for him, but it's going to be tough given the amount of time still left for DZ. The way that they generally play things, already figuring out Gio's position. He's been forced back. The top down nearly getting him there. Moves out from it, brings it down to 2, but the cross from Pamba as he hard commits now with the hop down. See here on the replay one final time, but that will seal the deal for them. So they were able to take that full control and finally put themselves on the board. Hating to try to hype things up a little bit here too. It's a little solemn on the DarkZero side given the previous 4 rounds of play, but finally they got a bit of a reason to be happy.
It's a touch bleak, but they got a round under their belt. Something to dance about. See if DarkZero can try and pick up the last round available to them on this offensive side. It was kind of a poor start for them on that round, but quickly swept under the rug by the remaining members of DarkZero as they were able to deliver on the original members' promises in a lot of different positions, especially around the office space upstairs. Soniqs starting to lose way too many bodies in the refrags, for once not coming through. So looks like DarkZero able to finally get their foot on the gas. See just how long this car can go. Looks like we are going to be defending vents. Soniqs going to obviously have to apply things towards the top level. How the Lasercades working their way in from Citizen. He's been back and forth on these weapons throughout this tournament, as have quite a few people when it comes to the primary of Rooney. So excited to see if he's got the EBR, potentially has the Roni. As for the rest of the squad, making quite a bit of sense. Got that Solus still working their way in. And the TCSG as well on the Kaid. So lots of fun things to be had for the Soniqs.
And as the Soniqs will prepare themselves for another one final brunt from the DarkZero attacking side. And it's going to be a very similar layout to what we've already been seeing. Doubling down on the hold on the inside of the office. Not really going to be a big extension over here towards security. Not much of a reason to for this site hold specifically. Instead, it will be downstairs played out over on the inside of customs to try and delay things should DarkZero try to push things from jail. It is where we saw at least a breach being made on previous attempts here. As far as you can tell, it has been reinforced, so a little bit more difficult to make that work. As the early clear focus, once again, is on this upstairs hold, as it's caused so many problems already for DarkZero in this half.
Patience early here from DarkZero. You know what happened to him earlier with the radio play from Rexon. Want to make sure they understand the positioning of this beast before they try and attack it. Citizen going to fall off from suicide. Not going to be the teller side, just to remember. These hatches not meaning all that much. Doesn't mean they can transition down and get that counter angle for the site, but not going to be the plant. Won't be the Overwatch, but it will be a kill for Pamba as he cleans up the top floor. We have one more member around in that space. 3 up top, and it's going to be Gunner. He's still inside a fountain. This little counter area here, but the drones are active from DarkZero. You have to worry for him. In rolls 2. Yeah, they're definitely going to find him at the back of Fountain, maybe? Did NJR look? A run out. They didn't see him. Gunner gets by. Pambazoo. Once again, DarkZero. What is happening with the drone game?
Just not catching these tiny little hiding spots the Soniqs have been able
I
to
have so much faith, too. You can hear it. Like,
I think they'd be reading into this one, especially after that critical blunder was made. About 4 to 5 rounds back. Still running into it, unfortunately. This time, only costing them a single trade for now, but we'll have to see the ringing effects that we'll have on the rest of the execute here as DarkZero now reshaping themselves around this due to losing Panva.
if there's something ringing, it's DarkZero's head after getting bunted. Once again, a blunt object, a force trauma. Skyro's down, clear up the frost mats. DarkZero still have an opportunity to look for a plant. It is a 4 versus 4. This isn't not doable. They have the skeleton key as well as some other tidbits to try and clean up around the site. No explosives though, minus the breaching rounds of NJR. Impacts and yet another angle being adopted from the Soniqs. Gunner will rotate his way in towards vents. Going to position himself very similar to what we saw from Rex and the last time that they were in this position. Skies will get taken down. Gunner's going to swing, and so far so good from the Soniqs. A 2 versus 1, a drop in on top of the case for Canadian. He can't find the player, tries to sprint out. Grixer will find him instead via Canadian. Funny how that works out. And the Soniqs will take a 5-1 half.
So one little bump in the middle of this half for the Soniqs, but otherwise it's pretty much perfect for them. 5-1 now is the scoreline. 2 out of the next 6 rounds need to be claimed by them. And they'll be able to lock things in for a second map. First for them personally inside of this series. That will also ignite us right over in the clubhouse, where we'll have to see the final battle transpire between these teams.
I just straight up cannot fathom that DarkZero is having issues with their info game on such a small map right now. It's befuddling me for how solid of a squad they are when it usually comes to that. But just didn't really have it when it came to this offensive side. They have to put quite a few rounds together to try and win this out. Funny enough, they can win this still in regulation. It'd have to be a perfect side, but it is possible. They can do it. But again, a little unlikely. We'll have to see what happens. As of right now, Soniqs well within their right to take border and force us to the decider, which is clubhouse, quite quickly.
Indeed, looking to thrust us into it without too much delay. We'll have to wait and see if the Soniqs run into any of the same issues that DarkZero was having problems with, of course, back on the first half. Just the slow nature of the play we're getting from them may have allowed for at least a few individual plays to come out from the Soniqs, just as they were telegraphing themselves too much. So we'll see if the Soniqs will speed things up a little bit more, remove that possibility, or if the same thing shall potentially surface, as it's going to be another upstairs hold, of course, from DarkZero to start out this half. They go right for that site initially. Givenchy bringing the mirror into this one to try and make these angles a bit more difficult to work, specifically the main balcony entryway, as well as that push in through office.
Let's see what Soniqs want to do for their opener. We know that DarkZero really like to favor the balconies, specifically on this side. Try and play the crosses in towards office. Have some influence that way, making it towards some of the positions that the Soniqs had weren't so safe once they went for the rotations back towards site, but never really seemed to be too big of a problem for the Soniqs at the end of the day. In the scoreline given. As for DZ, still able to stand stalwart on this top floor. No one really donning their doorstep just yet, but as soon as I say that, looks like Sledge might be getting active. We saw Citizen around the bottom of metal as well, so he could be working his way up soon enough. These two flirting with it right now. NJR right on the cusp of getting in a fight with Gunner. Rexonal Skeleton Key open the other side, and it looks like potentially, nope, Suicide will not be soft there. A little confused, as was I, from that position there, but there is indeed a reinforcement on that panel, so NJR can play through that safely.
Drop is in for at least one member of DZ as they're slowly going to begin peeling back their presence closer to the actual site. At the end of the final minute, NJR on the castle. We'll be trying to go for a bit of a flank maneuver. It does appear, however, a member of the Soniqs may be kind of pre-watching for this, or they just spotted the drop outright. That seems more likely here, given the positions that a few of the members of the Soniqs currently maintain. As for DarkZero, meanwhile, they're perfectly all right with this chain of events as long as there is not some sneaky play to get themselves into the site during the process of this. It'll be more than all right to let one player downstairs waste the majority of time throughout this round. I think there's a little bit of a worry from the Soniqs that it might as well have been the Oryx going down there.
Oh, unlucky.
Hop right back up.
That timing from NJR, he just changed angles and Gunner switches across. Let's see if he can get him. I don't think that Gunner knows he's down here. Easy pickings from MJR. And he'll get out. Tries to go back to the well there for a second. I thought he was going to stick it, but obviously not the case. Speaking of sticking, looks like we're going to have the plant starting to go down. Does anyone know where it's going to be at, though? Big Nitro from Gavini will stop it in its tracks. Soniqs now down a man, but some big kills coming through. Pamba will pick up one, and DarkZero find a round to start the defense.
DZ not done fighting just yet here. Seems they've got a little bit more left in the tank, trying to rebound and end this one in 2-0 fashion. As we move away from that round, though, Soniqs destabilized there in the final moments of it, wasting far too much time trying to watch for the flank coming up through that hatch on the inside of their office hold. Ultimately to fall victim to that player anyway at the bottom of the hatch, even though it wasn't Oryx potentially trying to make that play. Stalwart hold indeed from our defenders. Now they get a chance to play on that side.
Did we open mini hatch on this?
We need to extend their grasp a bit further onto areas like vents. As they go for this one on the second hold. Soniqs immediately with a little bit of a change up to their line. The Lion coming out here for Citizen. We'll see if that potentially locks in the information on the players they were having problems locking down a bit earlier on this time. So the possibility of some repicks to be thrusted out here too if they feel they need any change-ups.
Gonna be the Vents defense here from DarkZero. Capcan working their way in. Vigil as well, an operator that we haven't seen enough of this tournament. Just a fan favorite, really. Is kind of a selfish utility at the end of the day, but able to make some big plays as he can slip right past those drones. Practically unbeknownst to them, as the little screen effect that you get. But quite the fun op, especially with the K1A in hand. As for the Soniqs lineup, though, looking fairly straightforward, especially with Citizen and those EU1Ds to go. Soniqs looking to lock up DarkZero's positionings and try and get their execution going that way. Potentially see a few picks coming via that avenue as well.
Soniqs and the rest of DZ continue to bait out each other's attention here inside of the early round. As we continue to see the Soniqs move in for their initial bits of map control. East Main has been taken already, but moving it beyond that into the depths of the office is going to take a bit more time. They do see a player on cams. Gunner, what are we doing here? Gaveni just on cams with his head presented to the breach. Gives himself away there. An easy pickup for Soniqs to start this round off now. Pamba as well taking some damage as he tries to push back out over here towards break room. Gets caught out from it. Trying to take up a new position. Nearly gets caught on that cross as well. Hopping down from the jump up. So things are a little dangerous right now from DZ.
Oh, yep. You can say that again, my friend. Need to take some OSHA courses here. Everybody getting pinched off at work. Skies and Gavini both down. Gunner is going to falter as well. Finally a positive boon for DarkZero. His top floor presence going to mean the utmost to the future of this round. Oh, unfortunate from Pamba. Just couldn't get the SMG out soon enough to try and take that fight with Rex, and rifle ready. And guns down yet another DZ member. It seems like they're full bore when it comes to this round so far. We're going to take down quite a few of the DarkZero camp. They're going to slow this round up as well. I don't know if Citizen, or rather Canadian, got marked there. They'll swing through. They'll definitely know his position now, though, as he pre-fires in through the bookshelf wall.
NJR found out after some considerable delay and is now left down to only Canadian, way far away from the site here, playing all the way on the inside of Customs. Red into his position as well. It's an easy catch for Grixer and the rest of the Soniqs as they lock in another round for themselves.
On a can, just standing there.
He's talking about what you're talking about.
I was just as surprised as you were. Like, they never saw the breach, I guess, or heard that. Like, how long was he on cams for? Like,
Beautiful.
A little unfortunate for
that was a very weird one, but it really seemed to change the outcome of the round too much beyond that anyway.
Gavini didn't happen to be the one making the breach, right?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I don't.
He was in the, like, he was standing in the middle of it, but.
Yeah. Well, obviously, my brain there for a second. I was like, no, there's no way. But yeah, he's on defense. Just that's a little weird. I was reading some notes there for a split second. All I heard was Gavini died on drone while he was in front of a breach. I was like, oh, okay, well,
just standing there in front of the table. Like,
wow, that's
I guess maybe he thought his head wasn't present because it was like a headshot angle, so maybe he thought he was prone.
Oh, no, it was definitely a headshot angle.
Like,
we saw that.
I'm just trying to think of reasons, and unfortunately I'm not coming up with much here, so.
Well, he couldn't think at all, John, because his brains were on the floor, so.
Bit of a blunder from Gavini, and the next one's not going to start too well either, as he's going to run his head through some walls here on the Oryx, so we'll lose a little bit of HP right off the bat. We're going to see a few repicks.
I thought you were going to lean into the IQ points there.
No.
It's like run through walls. Maybe.
I'm not going to be that brutal about it, but
Yeah, don't be rude, all right? A little unfortunate there for Gav. It does tend to happen, but you definitely don't want it in a moment where it's a game-changing round, right, like that. So
I mean, it just set up map point now. So.
yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, you give him the benefit of the doubt, but it's also like, Gav, come on, man. A little unfortunate, but we're about 20 seconds in now. We've wasted enough time through this prep phase, the boring part of Rainbow Six. And now Soniqs can work their way onto the map, and they've brought Dokkaebi to the table. Those logic bombs, so very fun. See if they can clear out the map in a convincing way with that utility.
A peek from Geo, but a much better response. Oh my goodness, from MDR. Apparently not that much better, as Grixer has his trade on the way down through East Main Stairs. Knocks him down nice and quick. Brings us back down to a much more normal 4v4 here. Citizen and Panda from either side. They're both taking some heat as well here, but Gunnar is the one to strike next from the Soniqs. Grabs Gavini. Puts the team ahead by one player. Grixer already with Overwatch, the peaks and tellers. 2 and sees one Canadian. Not catching him over by this half wall, but at the same time, the slower adjustment from Grixer costs him the kill outright. Canadian still incredibly low, nearly gives away another angle to Grixer. He's allowed to fall back. Panba to equalize things, though, as he's still causing some problems upstairs. There's Grixer with the finalizing bullet against Canadian. Can Panba get a big swing here and potentially change his own team's fate up? Finds the winning angle, knocks down Rexon, and still keeps us even.
2 versus 2. Case in nobody's hands. Where is this thing? Let's get rid of the camera. Yeah, it looks like it's upstairs and out. Yeah, it's up on the balcony. Minute 14, Gunner's trying to stay dead silent, quiet as mouse here for the offense. Pambazoo pre-fires through, drops off the hatch, but not able to do too much. DarkZero attempting to work their way through.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
A little awkward here from both of these squads at the current moment.
Doc coming in to help out pretty nicely in this situation. It does reboost Panba's HP up to a much better level. Certainly going to be capable of fighting and potentially trading out some of these disadvantaged health fights if he gets that opening bullet or two, but Panba goes right back to the top hold here, drops the case for a second time. His teammate's still alive, even though we saw Grixer engage Skies a few seconds before Panba's own fight began. That ain't in, uncooked though. Gives him plenty of time to rotate around it. The wrong read initially for the spray here. And Skies actually through the floor to finish things out. As DarkZero hold on. The first of 4 claimed, but indeed 3 more still to go just to get us to another OT.
Extremely well done from DarkZero. Skies with the known angle work through the floor as well. Didn't need an angle built up at all. Just shot him right through the wood floor. Knew exactly where that door frame was. So great map knowledge here from him. DarkZero, so far so good on their defensive side, but the biggest issue now is that they have to go 3 in a row in order to tie this up and force this to overtime. We saw the Soniqs able to do this on Cafe, but is it DarkZero's time?
Certainly on the train, but gonna keep themselves on it here. Soniqs keeping the Dokkaebi in check currently for Citizen, wanting to play into that phone call intel to figure out where more hard bunkered positions from DarkZero are going to be hiding out at. Initially thinking about a 6-pick to move the Sledge out of the lineup, but looks like they're going to keep it after further discussion upon that. DarkZero, no surprises when it comes to their own lineup as well here. Perfectly suited for this specific site setup, so see those frost mats double deployed over here to the inside of the radio position again. Allowing NGR to play this out a bit more without having to have constant Overwatch on his backside. This has been a very pivotal piece of the map. And the speed with which the attackers are able to clear this out and potentially the number of kills they're able to claim in that process has oftentimes had a big impact on who has ultimately won these rounds.
Lots of soft breach here for the Soniqs and their due diligence of hard breach as well for Geo. Ace always really easy to work in, especially for your hard breach players. Usually favoring that gun as well. ace works, then, well, might as well bring him. That AK-12 can end up bagging you quite a few kills in the proper hands, and Geo definitely suffices. Gunner's going to deal some damage over to Gavini. He's playing over inside of Fountain. Does have a supporting angle with one of the players inside of Office. Frag grenade in. Likely going to clean up a frost mat and everything else in between. Expecting an aggressive assault off of that as the DZ member of NJR, but nothing doing.
Very quiet across the map as the Soniqs still look for an ace capability to knock out the Frost. The problem is they can't really push towards it without risking their own lives due to the additional setup over here by Fountain. NJR decides to take a step forward now, challenge it himself. He goes down, and even worse, Gaveni, who is supporting him, is eliminated also. This is not the start to this round that DarkZero needed, and unfortunately, it's going to continue to get even worse. Gunnar with the next slapdown eliminates Canadian. Skies is the only one left here, and he'll go down quite quickly as well to Gunnar. A flawless round to end it, getting some revenge for DarkZero's own flawless rounds at the tail end of the previous map. They make quick work here of map number 2 and send us right on to Clubhouse for map number 3.
Extremely excited for this one, John. Let's throw you guys to a quick break, and we'll be back with Clubhouse.